coming. A city waits to be a village. This town is becoming a city without wanting to. There are more cars and more things to buy, and everyone looks at billboards. Everyone understands them. A city waits to be a village. The old springs trickle up slowly between caged-in trees, pooling on the dirty sidewalk. The woman who sits on the bench opens her eyes on top of a mountain. It takes a long time. You have to wait like rock, like the center of the lake, like the bell in the village church, ringing, being rung, still waiting, still ringing, still waiting. In the temple. Stores have come up around the temple. Along this road, there are many corporate parks like this one. Driving on a Sunday in the winter, a despair I didn't understand would descend on the car, the song on the radio. Maybe it was the sadness of a relative far away, left over from a town no longer lived in, where the dry cleaning business was, the chemicals now banned. The mother and father take turns in the saddest place, turning into their new family and out to the fall day in the past. It was the beginning then, but it never felt new. This is the problem. The carpeting is dirty, but we still had to take off our shoes. The storefront, the weapons on the altar. You will see it. The night Bobby Kennedy was shot, I closed all the blinds and shut off the lights. It was hard to sit there in the dark, but it was the only thing to do. My daughter came home from the city and cried on the couch like she was young again. I watched her from the kitchen. Some nights when I can't sleep, I dig out the dead leaves lodged under the fence at the property line, and I can see the driveway again, and dirt where no grass grows. Only twice with a flashlight. I wouldn't tell anyone. The sky was light even in the dark, the sound of the leaves comforting. Inside my room, it was roaring to an unknown shape. The drainage ditch behind the house turns into a creek down the road. I walk there when I can. Spring is coming and it is beautiful. It is about to be beautiful. It will be beautiful and you will see it. Drainage ditch. You want results and I want silence. You believe in optimization and I believe in death. Under the sidewalk is a drainage ditch that never changes, wild grass and a few pieces of trash. I said silence. It's not an invitation to speak, even if you suspect you have a perfect emptiness forged through years of struggle, then success, and also alcohol. I know it seems perfect, but I said silence. Here it doesn't matter about your ideas. It doesn't matter if the design is perfect. The drainage ditch is not easy to use. It's deep, that's just the way it is. This grass is here naturally. If it floods, we'll have to climb out. One of us might not make it. You saw the word emptiness somewhere, in something someone told you to read, and now you can't stop saying it. But you're still afraid of fiction. You want to get back to the road. You want to find a television. You want a ski vacation, and I want a muddy field and the reason that people write poems. The feeling of not being in love. Dream of integration. Faith that the list of medications will turn into a painting, wet paint, pigments, plants, a jungle. The symbols mean something. There is a place where all of them are real. The proof is that in my worst moments, I'm allowed to live. The loved one talks on like a child, and the tyrant and the unhappy judge are allowed to live. The room with the little doors. Everything is serious and final. Every move he makes is alone. The world of other people is not his world. The sun is always disappearing. So he repeats the day, repeats the tasks, fills his glass again in the room with the little doors. What she wants explained. The loneliness not of the young person lost in the world, but of the old person lost in the world. It's not any easier to die when death has been explained to you. The people of a family together in the house, but the time is too short. Someone leaves early. Is it a motivation, a thought, a feeling in the low back, a touch screen, a lane, another lane, and the man working in the gas station as everyone drives away? This is what I mean by death. The silence of the gas station, without the gas station, without the creek next to the gas station, without the boredom of the man, his pain, his invisible transformation, without any of that. The sadness of the beginning of love, the middle. What are you talking about, he says. I love you. The goodness of people who try harder to understand each other, who see other people like the earth sees the earth, but with love. This one's called Whiteout. Like the dream of turning the corner and entering a landscape of snow. Looking for the city and ending up in a town close by, trampling on roses the size of a baby's head. Something about potential, entering a new program. The evangelical youth minister can't stop thinking about Mary's birth canal, and this confusion is also part of the suffering of Mary, having people talk about her this way. Like my grandmother who had 4 daughters in the 50s, I interviewed her about her life. Was there something else I was supposed to ask? I think there was. Lone. Below, a dark-skinned hell. Above, those who are like us but limited. The man who kills the giant animal plants the knife. His house will live forever. The desert will bloom green. The boat runs on to the end of the lake. There is no end. Over lands and waters, the edges of the republic, forever expanding, forever delivering the brave man back to its center. Says God, and stands there without him. The sky turning purple over the lake, the wake fanning out forever. I just have a few more. 3 more. Walking through the woods crying. A half an hour later, I had completely forgotten the owl perched on the limb before sunset. It's okay to want to avoid pain, as the mouse does. I don't know if any person can tell you how to be happy. Flying away, the owl doesn't remember what it saw when it looked into my eyes. We have the feeling that there is a more meaningful life waiting to claim our life. We want to be enfolded and set free. In between the capture and the release is a shock to the system, an enlightenment so quick that it registers as violence to the inner mind. To the outer mind, it doesn't register at all. Culture. Fort Stockton is no longer important, but the early morning light on the gas station seems to promise something. The plain houses, the empty historic buildings. Driving out of town, the last of the large SUVs, and 200,000 acres owned by one man. There are prehistoric animals in the drawing at the park exhibit. Behind plexiglass, palm trees and a humming swamp imagined where the desert is. There is white dust everywhere, fossils. Starting today, we carry our guns in the open. And this one's called Kevin. It's inspired by a documentary called Which Way Home that I recommend if you haven't seen it. What about that empty light, the cold sunlight with no shadow? It's behind the trees and in front of them. It comes from way up. Though I walk through the woods, the earth won't get past this field, around, and through my skin. It's the thing I'll carry with me until I die. It's called Love and Pain. In the documentary about children riding on trains, the boy says, "Look at these grades." He got the highest marks at the detention center, but his mother doesn't hear him. He set off on the trip singing and smoking cigarette butts. In the end, he looked at the desert and turned himself in. That's how he got to the building in Houston that always seemed empty. There are quiet mansions all along the ridge behind the school. The causes are invisible. The light out here is empty. She didn't want me, he said. If he watches this film, will he understand his life? Nature is all around him now, the heavy plants and trash of his hometown, his silent stepfather. He dreams that he sets down his backpack in the middle of the desert. Thank you.